guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share with you guys 10 tips to improve your art. Tip number 1 is think like an artist. This opens up the artistic side of your brain, which lets creativity flow through rather than thinking about everything in a logical way. We can become more aware of every sense and everything that's around us, and practicing this just wherever you are, whether you're sat on the bus to school or sat on the train going to work, or even if you just sat with a cup of tea looking out the window, practicing this can really help us to become more inspired, and that inspiration will be a lot more intense as well. What can you hear? What can you smell? What colour would that piece of music be, for example? If you're staring at a scene, imagine that scene as a painting in a really old-fashioned museum. How would that look? What would the brushstrokes look like? What would be the predominant colours? Maybe when you're speaking to someone, you can take in the contours of their face, picking up the little shadows in their face. Maybe there's a bit of green here or a bit of pink here, or that can really help us to see in a more artistic way, and it can help us see things that are ordinary but help us gain inspiration from them. Moving on to the second tip, and that is practice, practice, practice. Practice is the only way that you can improve in your craft. But of course, you don't want to be practicing the wrong way. So try and get some education, whether that's you're teaching yourself, looking and referencing other artists' work that you admire, or maybe you're using books or the internet or videos. Any way that you can, use those methods to just keep on practicing. It definitely does work. You could maybe also try a challenge like the 30-day challenge, where you draw something different every single day, and by the end of the 30 days your drawing skills will have improved so much. Tip number 3 is to enjoy the process. A lot of the times we can feel very impatient, like, I want this painting to be done, I want it to be perfect, I want to be really proud of it. But if we just stop and take it more slowly, we can really appreciate the fact that we are in a circumstance that allows us to make art and be able to afford paint or even a pencil, and we can show such appreciation for that in the moment, and that will really help us to gain a lot of joy whilst we're creating art, which will bring us ultimately closer to our piece of art, which therefore should make it better. If we have an emotional connection with what we're making, generally that means it will be better because we'll be putting more of ourselves into it. Tip number 4 is to visit galleries as much as you can. It's so easy to get in a funk with our own work and get in our repetitive style, whereas visiting a gallery really opens up the endless opportunities to be able to make art, especially the more modern art galleries, like Tracy Emin's Unmade Bed, for example. I distinctly remember seeing that, and suddenly what I thought was art just really opened up in my mind to the idea that art can be anything that sends a message and that we feel passionate about making. Tip number 5 is to focus on drawing. So if you're not really happy with the way your paintings are coming out, or your pastel drawings, or whatever medium it is that you are using, just try to focus on drawing. You can even use paint to draw or ink to draw. You can use whatever method you like. It doesn't have to be a pencil and paper, but definitely focus on just drawing and almost ignoring the colour aspect of your work. They can really just help focus and train those qualities that will help you really enjoy painting what it is you want to create. And then hopefully you will start to see a difference in your work, and that you'll be able to create what you intended in your mind, not just... Tip number 6 is to only buy art supplies that you can afford. Fear of using art materials is one of the biggest things that hold us back. I distinctly remember having my paint set out and just putting a tiny little bit on my palette, because I was like, I need to save this paint for as long as possible, I need it to last as long as possible. And so in doing that, I really restricted myself, which sometimes can be a good thing, but when you're learning and experimenting, you will waste paint, because that is part of the learning process. So what I would recommend is to buy cheaper paint, buy cheaper supplies, even if those supplies are not very good at all and are not fine art supplies. They are going to help you learn better, and then in your journey, if you start selling your work, that's when you can start investing in fine art supplies. I feel like fear is just such a barrier to creativity. So if we can remove the fear, whether that's fear of showing people or fear of using up the art supplies, that will definitely help you just embrace the creative process. Tip number 7 is to experiment. Trying new things can really push our creativity and expand it so much. Sketch weird things, use weird art supplies. Maybe try creating art in a weird place that you don't generally go to. Have fun with it, most importantly, and try and get back that childlike sense of play with your work, and not think too much about things, but just think, I like that, I'm going to use that, and just go for it. Because a lot of the times we can discover something new about the way we use paint, or something that we didn't realise before can then be discovered. Tip number 8 is not to become obsessed with someone else's creative path. Creating art is one of the most unique things in the world, and to very closely stick and become obsessed by someone else's path can really hinder us, because we're not actually exploring our own creativity, we're exploring someone else's. So you can focus more on creating your own path by looking at what sets you alight inside. What is it that you look at or feel that really just sets that little fire of creativity inside you? Whatever it is that you feel passionate about in that moment, just focus on that for a bit and see where it takes you. Tip number 9 is don't paint to sell, paint what you love. So if you are trying to become a working artist and trying to sell your work, which I know a lot of you are, and I would love to do more videos just on this topic alone in the future, but I found in my path it's easy to get in the cycle if someone likes a certain painting to then think, oh, that must be what people like, so I'm going to create more of that. But then maybe the first one you felt passionate about, maybe the second one or the third one, you're like, I don't really feel like making this anymore. And that is totally going to show in your work. So something that I have definitely noticed in the case for myself, I always think my paintings are a lot better when I'm really excited to paint them and feel really passionate about them. Try not to get in that rut of painting what people love and painting what sells, and focus more on painting and drawing what it is that you want to make, because ultimately you want to feel passionate about your job, so you don't want to get stuck in that rut of doing something you don't want to do. Otherwise, what is the point of being a working artist? So it's totally in your control. Wherever it is you want to take it, just go your own way. Tip number 10 is endurance. I can't tell you the amount of times I just wanted to give up this whole thing. I was like, I'm never painting again. It's rubbish. I just want to tear up my sketchbook. And I have stabbed a few paintings before, I won't lie, and I'm not a very violent person. What I just want to tell you guys is that I know that I won't be alone in that feeling, so don't give up. Just keep creating. If you feel frustrated about your painting, just step back. Maybe try something completely different to what you were doing before, just to keep that creativity open. And definitely try and approach things with no expectation. So just play with the materials, just have fun, and try not to expect amazing things from yourself. Because again, like we said before, that fear is going to ultimately restrain your creativity. So just keep going, just keep having fun with it, and just embrace the amazing thing that is creating art. So there are my tips for you. I did also want to mention that if you're looking for more practical advice on how to paint and how to draw better, then Skillshare is a really great place for that. Skillshare is an online learning platform with thousands of videos all about painting, drawing, photography. If you want to look at different mediums like gouache and acrylic and watercolours, there's some amazing videos that are just specific to those art supplies. If you are looking to improve your art or look at working as an artist, it is a fantastic place to gain so much knowledge, and the courses are really intense. Some of the classes that I've personally really enjoyed are listed in the description box, so feel free to go and check those out. They do have an offer on at the moment with the link in the description box of this video, so go and check that out if you're interested. You can get 2 months completely free to see if you like it or not. And after the trial ends, it's a monthly price of less than $10. So I would like to say a big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and a huge thank you to you guys for all your support. I love you all so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!